All right.
Woo.
Welcome to the vodcast.
Welcome, everyone.
My name is Bradford Loomis.
Hi, Bradford.
My name's-
Kimberly Loomis.
Yeah.
Shoot. Sorry, guys. This isn't going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect because we're human beings.
It's true. And we are not professional talking heads.
Vloggers.
Influencers.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of people have been asking us
how we do our marriage, and we just thought we would tell you because so many people wanted to hear from us.
If you don't watch Reels or influencer culture much, that's like the start of every video.
Everybody's been asking me what I use to decant all of my specialty ice. So
Specialty ice.
this is my video about all of that for you. But I will say I have had actually several people tell us we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
Bradford and I together about each other, us stuff. So
Well, if somehow you found your way here without knowing who either one of us are, I'm a musician, an independent artist, tour all over the country of the United States, a little bit of Canada, and do voiceover work, and some of my songs have been in movies and TV shows and that sort of thing. Well, a lot of times I'm by myself, and I always talk about my wife. And so, oftentimes she's talked about, but doesn't have the same level of like input in or exposure or whatever. So we figured we would do this little show and answer some of these questions and maybe talk about the side of a musician's life that you don't hear about very often, or even just creatives, because we've been married for 22 years, and we know a little bit about marriage and relationships and making it work and being independent and kind of working outside of the normal thing of having like a standard 9-to-5 job. So we're going to kind of lean into that a little bit and talk about what that has looked like and meant for us. And great leaning in, babe. That was great.
thank you.
Talk about what that's looked like for us, and maybe that'll be interesting to you. If it is, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe below. But first off, let's dive in a little bit to who we are, or at least kind of us as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
We met in high school, knew each other in high school, and really didn't get to know each other too much until our senior year, and got to know each other a little bit, graduated, kind of went our own separate ways, and then a couple years later reconnected at one of my shows. Kimberly was there to take photographs.
With a film camera.
Whoa.
This is aging us, but
yeah. I mean, film still exists.
Yeah, but
yeah. She was actually there to be on a blind date.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would meet for a blind date at a show you're supposed to be doing photography at.
Because if the guy was boring or weird or whatever, I'd have an excuse to consistently get up and walk away from him.
Hedging your bets.
Yeah, and he didn't show up.
It's true. I capitalized on that. Asked her out on a date. We went out the very next night, and we were inseparable for like the next 8 months.
Yeah.
So we just got married within a year of, well, actually within about 7-8 months of meeting and connecting and reconnecting, I should say. And so that kind of the rest was history.
Yeah.
Started a family. I walked away from music for about 10-12 years, something like that. And then we slowly but surely kind of got back into music and started taking it more seriously. And it was interesting. We were talking yesterday about this. You had said that when I first went full time in 2013, we had decided that we would do it for a year.
Yeah.
And check in.
Yeah. You pre-built in a check-in, because if I hated it or he hated it or whatever, then we could reassess.
Or if it was just too hard on the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would make me hate it.
Right. I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah. But we obviously it kept working
Yeah, we
because here
didn't
we
hate
are.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we eventually moved to Nashville and I've been living here for going on 6 years. Kind of crazy.
Is it 6? I don't know why. I don't want to count on my fingers, but
Yeah. 2017. So in September of 2023, that will be 6 years.
okay.
So
got
that's
it.
where we're going on 6.
Okay, going on 6. Got it.
Yes, indeed. So we wanted to, on the social medias, which this is YouTube, so this counts as social media. So feel free, please, if you like what you're watching, give it a like. If you have any questions or comments, please add that. One thing that does is it tells YouTube this is an interesting video that should show more people.
Yeah.
The other thing that does is give us stuff to interact about.
Yeah.
So both with you. So if you have questions, you can ask them in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't get to them in the comments, if it's a bigger subject question, then we'll make a video about it and we'll tag you.
Yeah.
Or at least we'll mention you. So that's a great byproduct of following us both here on YouTube, but also on our social media channels, because we ask there as well. So
yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, that sort of thing.
A big thing is we want to help people who are thinking about getting into this similar situation to us. But also, there's just a lot of creativity. Bradford and I are very different and similar in some ways. So there's just a lot of content, a lot of ways we can help having had the experiences that we have had. So if we can help anybody have a better experience, or maybe not make some more mistakes, or see things from a different point of view, then we're happy.
Yeah. And even outside of just helping somebody, there's also we're just very relational people. So we like value and believe in building relationships with people. So we'd love to get to know you. So
absolutely.
Follow us on the socials and we'll get to know each other.
Let's build a community.
Yeah, totally. We really value community and feel like we're always kind of working to foster that. So let's dive into the podcast or vodcast questions. So we figured we would just start off the top on social media, on Facebook, excuse me. Michael Cabrera had asked, he was kind of the first question we got. So shout out to Michael. He asked us.
My topic that I would want discussed is how creatives are supposed to renew after a dry spell, or how to nurture to prevent a season of zero inspiration or motivation. Good question.
That is good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I would have answered that differently 3 years ago.
3 years being pre-pandemic?
Yeah, in the before times.
In the before times.
Yeah, because in the before times, it was just, I hadn't ever been quite as challenged as I was during the pandemic about that specifically. And I'll say this. So living here in Nashville, I don't know if it's the church culture or if it's just being around a ton of creatives, but a lot of people put a lot of stock in the personality tests. If you've ever heard of the Enneagram, what's the other one?
Myers-Briggs.
Myers-Briggs, yeah. Myers-Briggs is really big in the corporate world, but the Enneagram is the numerical types. And so I always say, there's a value in that. It's pretty interesting when you kind of go down those rabbit holes, figure out which number you are, which personality archetype you are, and learn a little bit about that. I don't know that you necessarily need to put all of your belief and eggs in that basket, but I do think there is a beauty in trying to know yourself better. And that's kind of where I'm going with this question. With this answer, if you have spent some time kind of self-evaluating, getting to know yourself as a creative, learning who you are, what drives your creativity, where you feel most responsive or most motivated or most inspired. I think that those getting to know yourself a little bit can make a world of difference.
Absolutely.
So from a personal standpoint, I am a 3, which is the achiever. It's
Enneagram 3.
Enneagram 3, right? It's right next to the creative. I don't even remember. The artist is a 4. And so I'm creative adjacent. So I have moments where I do get very creative. But if you're familiar with the left brain, right brain thing, I'm very left brained with how I approach my creativity. Meaning, I'm linear. I'm tactile. Tactical. I mean, I am very strategic with it. So I have learned if I want to be creative, if I sit around waiting for it, it will never happen. Very, very, very rarely do I ever just feel inspired to create. I have to schedule it. If I schedule it, without fail, some of my favorite songs, I waited way too long, procrastinated, and then that timeline and that pressure were looming, and inspiration set in. And those are some of my favorite songs. There's a couple on this new record that I wrote that way, and I love them. My favorite, I've learned when I go into the studio, I save room for one song and I write it on the way to the studio or at the studio, and that always ends up being my favorite song on the record. And it's that timeline looming that like spurs me into action. So for me, to go back to your question, Michael, learning to schedule stuff that helps protect my creativity. That helps me rejuvenate. For some people, that might be getting out into nature, recovering, and as well as feeling inspired. So knowing what drives your creativity, what drives your inspiration, and then making sure that you leave time for that, I think is a big, big part of that. Now, the pandemic kind of threw that out the window because I just did not want to schedule anything. So that was, for me, particularly challenging. I do know some people that are different personality types that just wrote a ton during the pandemic. That wasn't me. So how would you answer that?
Yeah, I'm smiling while you're talking because of realizing like how different we are. I am the complete opposite, with the exception to say that the procrastination thing of like waiting to the last minute, that will also inspire me, can also push me. I think we wrote that one song together for something I can't remember, but it was a thing where you had to perform it.
Oh, Come Dance With Me.
Yeah, so we wrote that kind of last minute, and that will push me. But that's because I have ADHD, and so I get that adrenaline that I need in order to perform, like in order to perform, I guess, or to do the thing, and that helps to kind of fire the creativity cylinders. But as far as like putting personal deadlines on myself, or putting myself on a schedule of like, I'm gonna write today, or I'm gonna do photography today, or I'm gonna think of an idea for a short story or whatever, that does not work for me. So for me personally, I get those lightning moments when I'm in the shower or when I'm driving or at random times. And if I don't at least stop for a moment, and like, for example, there'll be times where I wrote an entire screenplay in the shower one time. Like start to finish a short film and it's still in my head.
That's why our water bill was so high.
Probably. I mean, it wasn't a very long one, but yeah. So I have to stop and I have to give myself, like, write myself a note. Usually it's I tell Siri to remind me of something. I'm just making sure she didn't go off. But yeah, for me, deadlines and goals and stuff kind of stifle my creativity, and so I'm pretty much the opposite. I'm also not left brain at all. In fact, I take medication to give me access to the left part of my brain and like my prefrontal cortex with my neurodiversity, and so I'm just very much heavily right brained, and so definitely. Oh, I'm also a 2 on the, I almost said a Richter scale. I'm a 2 on the Enneagram, which is the helper. And I'm also an extrovert and an outward processor. So if I've been home alone and haven't had any adult interactions in a while, my creativity is stifled. I have to be around people. I have to be around their energy, which has kind of sucked recently because being around a lot of people and around all the energy has actually been really hard, because I'm recovering from a concussion still. But so you have to really balance that out. And there might be some people who do have chronic health issues where they are extroverts, but their body is not anymore. So you have to find that balance. But I think just all going back to knowing yourself and saying, okay, I'm depressed. I'm down. I don't have any access to creativity. What is going on? And mindfully assessing your situation and saying, oh God, I haven't been out of the house in a week. I haven't had an inspiring conversation with a friend in 3 days or whatever. If it was Bradford, it would be like, I haven't had any time to myself that I could schedule to write in a week or whatever. So knowing yourself is a really, really big one.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys watching. We are going to be filming one of these once a month. We'll be releasing one once a month, and we'd love to have you along for the ride. So if you guys have any questions, any comments, feel free to leave them in the comment thread below, or reach out to us on the other socials, whatever you feel the most comfortable with. And of course, we've got this little virtual tip jar thing scrolling along the bottom. But if you believe in what we're doing, if you value creativity and people pouring into each other and supporting each other, we want to find different ways that we can help you. So please let us know if there's something you need from us. And if you want to team up and come along for the ride, you can also become a patron. We'll have a link in the description of this video as well. So thank you guys so much for being here and for being a part of what we do.
Yeah, thank you. See you later.
Catch you later.